Welcome to the Recover You podcast. I'm Kylene.
And I'm Patrick.
We are a couple in recovery
from sex addiction
and betrayal trauma. Together, we share our story to encourage you on your journey. It's here that we talk about sex addiction, betrayal trauma, mental, emotional, and physical health, faith, and anything and everything needed to recover you to your most authentic self that God created you to be. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Recover You. Today, I am Kylene doing a solo episode, and today I thought I would discuss 5 signs you are in a safe and healthy relationship. I just thought it might be nice to sort of break down what does this mean, because different words carry different meaning and weight to different people, and sometimes the word safe might feel confusing, right? Like, what does she mean when she says safe all the time? I'm in a safe relationship because my partner isn't physically abusive, just as an example. A lot of times when we say the word safe, that's kind of where our brain goes. But what I mean when I say safe is like this state of groundedness, and like that you're supported, that your partner is on your side, your nervous system feels grounded. So it's if you want to say on the spectrum where physical abuse would be at one extreme end of the spectrum, safety isn't just not that. It's maybe the opposite end of the spectrum, where your partner is sort of in your corner and the two of you are a team. So I thought I would just maybe take this opportunity in today's episode to walk through 5 signs, some examples, and maybe some conversational examples, and some examples of how this plays out in my relationship with Patrick, and then some conversational examples that maybe are not related to us, but just tangible ways to kind of understand these different signs. So number 1, and I think they're all so important, but this is a big one. I see the opposite a lot. So number 1 is you express what you think and you feel openly and without fear of repercussion. So this is someone who's able to walk through life knowing that they can share their thoughts and emotions with their partner, and you're not worried about your partner's response because you know that it's going to be a supportive or calm or helpful or empathetic response. So the idea here is that, you're not walking on eggshells. Often I will hear partners express to me just a lot of thinking about how they word something. Like, how do I need to word this so that my partner receives it in a safe way? How do I word this so that they understand my side? How do I word, and in those situations, there's almost never a perfect way to word something because it's not you. If you could have figured out the perfect way to word something, you would have done it already. So it's generally not that you need to think about how to reword something. It's generally that, this relational dynamic is not necessarily the healthiest. So in a healthy relationship, there isn't this idea of walking on eggshells. You can feel an emotion and express it. Now, that doesn't mean that I can feel an emotion like anger and funnel it all into my partner like they're the problem and I can hit walls because it's safe to express my anger to my partner, right? That's not what I'm talking about. Like, a safe way of expressing anger is verbalizing it and saying, hey, I'm really upset about this behavior, or this thing that you said really hurt my feelings, right? So there's always context within how we express our emotions, but it is safe to do so with our partner. That's a really, really important thing. And how do you know that it's safe to do so? Your partner is someone that kind of helps you co-regulate, right? So if one of you is feeling stressed out, they want to communicate that to the other partner because they know that they will help them, hug them, talk them through it, encourage them. I think it's even if it's about the partner, right? A safe relationship is one where the person that, like, let's say Patrick came to me and said, Kylene, you have this like really annoying habit, and it comes out when we're shopping at the grocery store and it's XYZ, right? And I might be totally unaware of this thing. Let's say it's actually something that's kind of negative though, right? So my response would be like, oh my gosh, I, 1, didn't know that I do that, and 2, I guess I'm going to have to try to work on that, right? Like, I'm sorry. So that's okay. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Let me work on this thing, right? As opposed to, why aren't you letting me be, like, that's just who I am, right? Like attacking or like turning it around. And that's kind of an an ambiguous example, so let me get a little more specific. If I'm feeling upset or anxious, your partner, you can verbalize that and say, hey, I'm feeling upset, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling insecure. Your partner then might come to you and say, give you a hug and then say, I'm sorry, why are you feeling anxious, right? So it's not an immediate attack on the other person, or they don't receive it that way. That's co-regulation, that we feel safe enough with each other that we're going to communicate in a way that I don't constantly feel attacked just because you're feeling a certain way. So let's maybe give an example here of an unhealthy way that this might show up. And we'll call the partners Jessica and Alex. Just so if there's a Jessica and Alex out there, this is not about them. I'm sorry. This is very non-specific names here. Just for the script. So Jessica says, hey, I've been feeling kind of anxious and insecure lately about us. Like, I'm scared you're pulling away a bit. Alex goes, wait, what? You think I'm pulling away? Now I feel like I can't even have a bad day without you thinking it's about you. I'm exhausted from work, and now I have to worry about making you feel secure too. This is really hurtful that you don't trust me. So then Jessica says, no, I trust you. I want to be honest about how I'm feeling. So then Alex goes, see, this is what I mean. You say you're just being honest, but it always ends up making me the bad guy. I'm trying so hard here and you still feel insecure. What am I even supposed to do with that? Right? So that's an example of a problem is being brought up, and then the person that it's being brought up to immediately flips it, makes themselves the victim, and essentially gaslights and blames the other person, trying to make them feel bad. And so that would be an example of the unhealthy way of responding to when your partner brings emotions to you. The healthy way is to get curious, to have compassion, and to work on co-regulating with them. How do I help them feel better? How do I help this be resolved for them? Yeah, so that should, of course, be bi-directional. Now I'm going to put this asterisk in there as well. Different pieces of this are going to be applicable at different points in recovery. These are sort of broad brushstrokes of, the goal of what a healthy relationship should look like. So if you're really early on in recovery and there's a lot of intense emotions and there's a lot of, you just discovered betrayal and things of that nature, these types of relational dynamics and conversations, this is what we want to move towards through recovery. And maybe this is how you conversed before in a safe, healthy way, and then betrayal has really blown things up. We want to get back to through healing, through the addiction being taken care of, through the individual taking ownership and responsibility, right? We want to, and for the betrayed partner, seeking healing and support and health and all of these things, we want to move here. So just be aware, as I'm talking, like the idea is I am painting a picture of ultimately what a healthy relationship is. We may all have pieces of this, or we may need to work towards pieces of this depending on where we are. So I just want to make that clear. But a safe relationship is where you're able to express your feelings and thoughts, and your partner is going to be receptive and supportive. You do not have to walk on eggshells. Number 2, you can disagree or navigate conflict, but this ends up in repair. So disagreement doesn't have to become a personal affront. It doesn't have to be about you. Like, it really is okay to view things differently, and to disagree about something, or to even have conflict or a misunderstanding, as long as it ends up in repair. It's unreasonable to think that we will never disagree or never have conflict with our partner. Sometimes on social media, I'll see people say, if a couple doesn't argue, it's an unhealthy relationship. And the idea behind them saying that is a couple that doesn't have conflict, that doesn't disagree, that doesn't feel free to share their thoughts and their feelings with their partner, that's unhealthy. But I think sometimes language, again, we interpret words a little bit differently. And so some people hear, like, I wouldn't say that Patrick and I would say use the word argue. I would say we argue very infrequently. And to me, arguing is like, yelling and really high emotions and things of that nature. And that is so infrequent. But yeah, we have conversations and we disagree. And so I think that is more the healthy side when people say, I think it's unhealthy if people don't argue. I would personally change that word argue to it's unhealthy if a couple never disagrees on things, because we will view things differently in life. We're two different people with different world experiences, and it's only healthy to be able to talk through those things. So what makes that healthy is being able to navigate the conversations in a healthy way, and then also being able to repair. So if there's a little bit of rupture or hurt feelings, as an example, because of the disagreements, can we communicate our way through that to support each other and come to a good place relationally? So Patrick and I have different ways of viewing things and feeling about things. And an example that I'll sort of share with you for this is Patrick really likes the idea of the holidays being calm. Calm, I think, would be like the idealistic, utopic word for him to describe like the best holiday. And not that most of us wouldn't include that word in some way, but let me describe the differences here. If he could stay at home the entire day, and it just be like the most chill, relaxing day ever, I think that would be like the perfect holiday for him. But for me, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? For me, especially around Christmas time, the holiday really involves a lot of other things. It involves other people. It involves going to church. I love going to the Christmas Eve services. It involves a lot of music, and me being a singer, I love participating in the Christmas music at church. So I like to be involved in the church services. That really, like Christmas Eve, going to church and participating in the music on Christmas Eve, like that is Christmas to me. Like that feels very special to me. But, for Patrick and Keegan, they tend to be a little worn out by all the go, go, go when you pair going to the church services on Christmas Eve with the schedule that we have on Christmas Day. So a way that we have sort of discussed maybe doing this year is that I'm going to respect their need for maybe a little bit more calm in the schedule, a little less on the schedule, while they can also respect that for me, that feels really, really good to actually participate. So I'm going to go and I'm going to participate in both of the church services, but they are only going to come to one. So that way we're both respecting what helps the other navigate that day and feel really good and celebratory about it. And without necessarily saying like, no, you have to do it my way. Like it has to be one way or the other, right? So, and then we've talked through, the three of us, we've talked through what would feel good for Christmas Day. And then we came up with a plan between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day that feels good for everybody. So that's kind of how we handled that. And that's just an example of, we want different things. We are verbalizing them. And sometimes you don't always know that you want different things until you've navigated that thing, right? Like we've navigated several Christmases together. Our lives have changed a lot over the past couple of years. Keegan's gotten older. So when he comes home for the holidays, it's really special. And so as things continue to shift and we notice, hey, this feels good, this doesn't feel good, continuing to talk through those things. So let's give another example of this. Again, we'll go back to the characters, Jessica and Alex. So Jessica says, I felt really triggered tonight when you were on your phone the whole time we were cooking. I felt like I didn't matter. Alex responds, I can see how that felt dismissive. I wasn't trying to ignore you. I was stressed about that work email and fell into doom scrolling, but I get why it hurt. I'm sorry. So that's a really great example of Alex saying, that wasn't my intention, but I see why you would feel that way, and taking responsibility and saying, I did that and I'm sorry. Jessica then says, it's not even the phone. It's that I start feeling like I'm alone in the relationship when that happens. I know it sounds dramatic. So she says, essentially explaining a little bit more around the feeling around it. And then Alex says, it doesn't sound dramatic. I'd feel the same way if you were checked out while we were supposed to be connecting. I don't want you to feel alone with me. That sucks. Can we try a new rule? Phones stay in the other room when we're cooking together. So he's saying, hey, you feel the way you feel. That's okay. I'm respecting the way you feel. You don't even have to downplay the way you feel. I actually think that's a good point with that phrase. Hey, you don't sound dramatic. That's Alex saying, hey, your feelings are your feelings. You don't have to downplay them for me. And that's actually a really safe way to respond. But then he says, you know what? I'd feel the same way too if the situation was a little different. Let's come up with a plan for this. So let's keep our phones away when we're trying to be in conversation or do an activity together. So then Jessica says, yeah, I'd really like that. And I'm sorry I got snappy instead of just saying I felt hurt earlier. Alex says, I'd rather you be snappy than quietly stew and feel alone. At least that way I know something is wrong. Come here, hugs Jessica. I love you. I don't want to be the partner who makes you feel invisible. And then Jessica says, I love you too. Thanks for hearing me instead of getting defensive. I'll work on communicating how I'm feeling more quickly. So each of them is taking responsibility for the different aspects that could have been navigated a little bit better in that conversation. And they are coming into, there was a little bit of a conflict, a little bit of an escalated feeling, hurt feelings, having a conversation, and then having that conversation repair so that they could come back together. So that's just an example of how that might work. Number 3, your nervous system feels relaxed around your partner. So when we're thinking about, what safe and healthy is like in a relationship, your nervous system is the biggest signal of if you feel safe. And so when we are in a safe, healthy relationship, our nervous system is going to feel relaxed around our partner. So again, this is one of those examples where in the early phases, right after discovery, your nervous system is on high alert. You're hypervigilant. You do not feel safe with your partner. We talk about maybe considering sleeping in separate rooms so that you can get good sleep, right? All of these things. So the idea as we're sort of moving through recovery, sobriety is established, safety is established, connection is established, the foundation of the relationship is safe and healthy again. Your nervous system trusts that over time. And that after a significant, intense rupture like betrayal can take time. So don't feel like you have to rush that at all. We want to listen to our nervous system. But again, what I'm doing here is through these points, we're kind of talking about what is a healthy relationship. We may not be there now, and it may not even be appropriate in this exact phase that you're in. But this is certainly where we want to go in a relationship. And so your nervous system feels safe and relaxed around your partner. And what does this look like? Well, one, you're going to sleep better with them. So in the early phases, maybe you're not viewing them as safe, and you don't want to sleep near them because your brain views them as dangerous, and you have bad dreams, or you don't get as good sleep, or you're tossing and turning. And so you decide to sleep apart. But eventually, as safety is established, if you feel really, really safe with your person and you're co-regulating, ultimately you're going to sleep better with that person. You're going to feel really relaxed to be around them. Another example of your nervous system feeling really safe with someone is that you really want to tell them, like if you're stressed out, like they're the person you want to talk to. If you're worried about something, if you hear news, if you're happy about something, like they are the first person on your mind. I'm going to text them. I'm going to call them. I want to share this with my person. So that's a really good example of your nervous system feeling safe around your partner. I definitely I feel very relaxed and safe around Patrick. There was, again, early on in the early phases of betrayal, that was not, we slept apart for a really long time, and there were a lot of heightened emotions. Over time, through recovery, I felt more and 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 more relaxed with him. And because he created safety so early and so quickly and so consistently, that has just continued to build over time. Sometimes we have, as betrayed partners, different wounding, different traumas, trusting people, being able to feel relaxed after scary situations have happened in our life. All these things can feel really hard. So again, give yourself the time, the healing, the recovery, the tools, the resources to kind of move through this. We're talking about our goals here. Maybe this is a goal, or maybe you already feel this with your partner. Maybe you really know that your partner is really trustworthy, and they're doing what they're saying they're going to do. They're following through with it. They're being very consistent. They're proving over time that they are really, really safe. And one of the things I think for me was that the biggest thing relationally was the addiction itself. So it wasn't a history of, I wasn't being gaslit. He wasn't putting pressure on me or saying that it was my fault that he was engaging in these things or anything like that. So the one thing that we really had to work through was him getting through the addiction and recovery. And then for me, I had to work through the emotions and the outcome of that. And I knew, as I was navigating it, if I could do that, I was really building trust in Patrick because he was being so consistent over time. But an example is we actually sleep at different times. So Patrick goes to sleep earlier. He also wakes up a lot earlier. We'll sort of go to bed, like get in bed and watch a show like at the same time. But he'll fall asleep earlier than I will. And then I'll sort of stay up and watch, a different show. And a couple of days ago, Patrick just said, "Hey, I know you're going to stay up and watch, your next show. Can we spoon together can I spoon you while I fall asleep?" And that was just him saying, "I want to be close to you while I fall asleep." And that was just him communicating that. I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then, eventually, I move or he moves or, whatever. But that's he's like, "I just want to fall asleep that way." So it's a really connecting thing, right? His nervous system feels really safe. He wants to feel connected. And that feels really relaxing to him. And he verbalized, "Hey, is this a possibility?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so it's just an example of your nervous system feeling really relaxed with your partner. Number 4, you both want the best for each other. So I think this is really important, right? That in a healthy relationship, you don't have two people that are in competition. It's not, I'm smarter than you. I make more money than you. I am a better person than you. It's two people that admire the other person. It's two people that want the best for the other person, right? So how does this show up relationally? A lot of times it's going to show up with freedom, right? So yes, go hang out with your friend. You want so-and-so asked you to hang out? Absolutely, go. I'll hang out with my friends, or I'll take care of the kids, or whatever the situation might be, right? Yes, go take that trip to visit your mom. You want to go back to school? Okay, it might be a little tight. Let's talk about the possibilities, right? So it's really this idea that you have two people that say, I'm not here to get in your way. I'm here as a partner to encourage you to make the most of your life. And whatever way that manifests for you, that makes sense, I'm here to help you and to support you in that. And that's a bi-directional thing. An example of this in my own life would be in my first marriage, going back to school. I was in college for, I think, 3 years. I went to a community college 1 year, and then I went to Bowling Green for 2 years. And then I left school. I dropped out of college and I got married. And going back to school was not really even on the table. But being married to Patrick, his attitude about me being successful in any area of my life, he's so supportive, and he pushes me towards that and encourages me towards that. Do you want to go back to school? Absolutely. Hey, Patrick, I want to get this. I want to get another certification. Cool. That's really exciting. What's it about? If I wanted training, if I want to go get a certification, I wanted when we were together, was going back to school to get my degree, and then I finished that while we were together. And he's always been supportive of any professional goal that I have or personal goal that I have. He's always wanted me to go out and pursue the things that I'm interested in. Now, we might have conversations about, do we pay for this from our bank account? Do we pay from this from our mutual account? Or do we pay from this from Kylene's business account? Or is it the right time? Or, whatever. But there's never, ever been a moment where Patrick says, I'm going to get in your way, or I'm going to say, no. Although I will say, here's a really good example. There was this was a long time ago, maybe a decade ago. And there was a business coach thing that I was considering. And Patrick sort of got involved and was like, "I don't think that's a good idea. I think that might be a scam." And so he was involved, but only in a good way. But anything else, any professional advancement that I've wanted, or when I went and got trained for the neurolinguistic reprogramming and the quantum time technique and the subconscious reprocessing and hypnosis and all these things, it's an 8-day training, and you have to be away from the house, and you go do this for a period. You have to travel and stay there and learn. And I went and I did that twice. And then I also would go and be an assistant coach at some of their other trainings. And so travel, we support each other traveling. When Patrick's mom was sick, I was really, really happy that he was able to go visit her so many times before she passed. That was really, really important, right? He travels a lot for business right now. And, it's interesting because we're in a really good place relationally. And so it would be very nice if he was home all the time. but because he travels for work and because he's involved in leading groups in the evenings and all this kind of stuff, he's actually gone a lot. And so it would be like ideal if he was home and we could just, keep focusing on what we want to focus on and spend all this time together. But I'm going to support him both in his business life, which he absolutely loves the work that he's doing right now. And I'm absolutely going to support him in helping other men and passing this on. And, it is unfortunate that sometimes that means that takes time away from time that we could be spending together. But that's a choice that we're making right now. So there's just a lot of different examples there. A healthy relationship is absolutely going to be one where you are supporting each other in your goals and helping each other move forward in life. The opposite, obviously, would be putting up hurdles, making someone feel bad, talking about all the ways that you can't do something instead of talking about the possibilities. So we want to challenge each other, we want to encourage each other. We want to help each other think through, like, is this the right decision at all? Is this the right decision, like, right now? But we can always do that from a place of encouragement. Like, let's maybe kind of work through this. And if it's the right decision, like, how do I help you? How do I help you move forward? How do I encourage you through that? And then number 5 is you really help each other become better, stronger people. So this is where we have conversations that challenge each other. Hey, this is what I think about this topic that's going on in the world. And your partner listens and then goes, well, have you thought about this perspective to it? There are things that Patrick is so much smarter than me on, and there are things that I just know a lot more than he does on. And so over the course of our relationship, there are different avenues of information that I'm really good at, and he might lean on me for advice in that area. And there's avenues of information that he's really good at that I might lean on him and say, hey, like, this is your expertise, not mine. But that's a bi-directional thing. So that's something where we really know that we both have strengths and we both have areas that maybe we're not as strong in, or we don't know as much in, or whatever that might be. But we're able to encourage each other, support each other, and not feel threatened. Like, I don't feel threatened that Patrick knows way more about history than I do. He was a history major. You know what I mean? Like, that's his mode of expertise. And conversely, I know a significant amount about music or singing or different shows or whatever. There's just a couple really silly examples there. But that can go out into so many different areas of our life and our conversations. And we don't have to be threatened that the other person is smarter, and we don't have to be threatened that the other person knows more about something. It's a bi-directional curiosity and interest and support. And that can be really, really important. And a challenge too, like, hey, have you thought about this perspective, right? Maybe there are spiritual conversations that a couple has that really challenges each other. Our spiritual journey individually and as a couple has been so interesting. We came into the relationship where both of us would sort of say that I was the quote unquote strong one spiritually, that I kind of like knew what I believed. I had a really strong history of, understanding why I believe what I believe, and I could have a conversation about it. And, that's the place that I was coming from. And he was maybe a little newer in some of his beliefs, or a little less depth, or I'm not sure how he might describe that, but I think we would just say, like, I was a little more assured in what I believed. But, through the recovery process, it was really interesting because I really pulled back and was like working through my relationship with God at the same time that Patrick was getting so deep in his relationship with God. And he was just, his spiritual life was flourishing while I was, I was like, why is God letting me go through this? And I was having a lot of emotions. And so we just went through different phases right now, over the past few years. And we have a lot of conversations about spiritual things. I am still the person that kind of likes, I'll kind of go off on spiritual topics or ideas or frustrations that I might have about, sometimes how the church communicates things that I don't think are healthy, or we'll have discussions about this aha moment, or I'm thinking about this differently, and what do you think about that? So it can be a really interesting way to learn from each other, because this is, spirituality is one of those things that there's always something to learn. And you have two people in the house that have different lived experiences, or have read different books, have different ways of thinking and coming at a topic. And so those are conversations where you can really encourage each other or challenge each other, right? So that's really interesting. Emotionally, right? Through the recovery process, Patrick has talked about this a lot, where I was really sort of the challenge there for him. Hey, we need to do better here. We need to do better here. This is what recovery is going to look like, and really kind of pushing him through that process. But then alternatively, like, I've gone through a lot in this relationship. Like, I went through cancer and he was there for me. And I've gone through those really scary, like, mental health intrusive thoughts before I understood them, bouts that really terrified me. And I was very emotionally fragile during that time. And he was there to support me through that. And he was like very much a present rock there to encourage me and support me and be like, hey, we're going to get through this together. And so when you're in a healthy relationship, it's going to be growth oriented. We're going to be feeling like we're on a team, like we're partners that are here to support each other, and we can move forward. And when one person is feeling really energetic and strong and confident, and the other person is feeling really, really weak, that person's going to scoop them up and hold them and carry them until they gain strength. And then maybe the person carrying the other trips because they had a bad day, or they had something really stressful, or something really traumatic just happened, and the other partner can scoop them up and hold them. And I think that's such a beautiful thing relationally, when you really come into that idea of the mutuality behind it, where we have two intelligent human beings that are equal in value. They both have different things to contribute to the relationship, and we're both here walking the same path to help each other do better in life, to continue growing, to continue challenging each other, and to continue to become better humans together. If I had to wrap up the idea of how do you know if you're in a safe and healthy relationship, if I had to say it in one sentence, I would say essentially you feel the most free to be 100% yourself around your partner. Can you be you with no masks, without overthinking, just like drop all the defense mechanisms and just be and feel safe around your partner? That is really a healthy relationship when you feel that way. So a few questions that you might consider asking after listening to this episode would be, which one of these points might feel unresolved or might be a weak link? So let me read through those again. So the number one sign is you express what you think and how you feel openly and without fear of repercussion. Number two is you can disagree or navigate conflict, but this ends up in repair. So disagreement doesn't have to become a personal affront. Number three, your nervous system feels relaxed around your partner. Number four, you never feel like you will be judged just for being yourself. Or actually, did I? I didn't read that one. Bonus one. Hold on, I'll come back to it. Number four, you both want the best for each other. And number five, you help each other become better, stronger people. Bonus, we're going to say number six, you never feel like you'll be judged for being yourself. So I have all these like weird quirks, and I'm sure you do too. Everybody does, right? I leave cups all around the house. Like, I'm constantly carrying my Yeti full of water, and then he brings me my morning drink in the water, and then in the morning, and that stays on the nightstand. And, I constantly have like cups full of water around the house and stuff, and he'll kind of go around and collect them. And I'm forgetful and my ADD, and then I'll like randomly come into the house, come into the room dancing, and it's like a crazy, like weird, it's just bizarre, right? I just have a lot of quirks, but I never, ever, 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 ever feel like I'm going to be judged for being weird or for being myself. And I seriously hope that Patrick is a lot less weird than me. He's a lot more normal. But if he does have any weird quirks, I hope that he feels comfortable around me. But anyway, so that was a little bonus. I didn't actually read that one earlier. But again, essentially, you just feel the most free. So as I read through those, I want you to think which of these points might feel unresolved and or might be a weak link right now. The second question I want you to think about is, what are some steps that you could take to focus on that next? So what, if it's conversational, do we need to learn communication techniques? Is there something that hasn't been expressed that we need to sort of bring up and work through? Like, what does that look like? And then I think after betrayal, after enough time has passed after discovery, and you've really created that solid foundation of safety, that solid foundation of recovery, like you're really planted, a good question to ask would be, if I met my partner today with the level of healing they have engaged in, would I want to be in a relationship with them? That is going to be a really good question. And again, we're thinking about, how do we know we're in a safe and healthy relationship? I can tell you today, knowing the person that Patrick is, like, let's say we didn't have our history, we didn't have our past, I just met him today. If I met him today, the person that he is so kind, so smart, so gentle, so considerate, so thoughtful, so patient. He has so many wonderful things. He's so giving and involved and wants to help other people. But he's humble at the same time. He's not like, I'm amazing. He just is like, I have something that can help people. I want to help people. So he has this balance of like, I'm really smart, but I'm not egotistical. And so knowing who he is after he's gone through recovery, I can very much say, yeah, if I met him today, I think he's awesome. So I think that's a really good question to when you're thinking about, hey, am I in a safe and healthy relationship? Just thinking, and again, this is a question that would be probably several years after the recovery process, because there's so much foundational work to be done to calm the nervous system just from the trauma that you experienced. But as you learn and grow together as individuals, separately and together, what would the answer be to that question? And that can just be something to think about. All right, well, I hope this episode was helpful. Again, I think sometimes when we use the word safety, we can interpret that as, well, I'm physically safe, right? But hopefully through this episode, it just covered so much more in terms of mental, emotional, nervous system. What does that actually look like in tangible ways to be safe in your relationship? And I hope that was encouraging in some way to hear today. Every day is a new opportunity to choose health and freedom. Make that choice today, and we'll see you next week. Woohoo! If you're listening to this, it means you've made it through an entire episode. Part of recovery is spending time engaging in healing and self-growth activities. We are thankful that you chose our podcast to be one of those activities today. Make sure you reward yourself for that accomplishment. If you've enjoyed this episode or this podcast, we would love to hear from you. Please take just a few moments to leave a rating and review, letting us know your experience with Recover You. We not only love hearing how these episodes are helpful, but ratings and reviews help others just like you who are searching for recovery information and support find the podcast too. We can't wait to hear from you. See you next week.